What's going on, ladies? Welcome back to another episode, a special episode of the LadyStrong Fitcast. And today we are going to give you guys an update on LadyStrong Fitness Geneva.
So the big question is this: how were two women who didn't cheat and purchase a gym franchise model, how were they able to spread their mission and purpose by empowering and transforming hundreds of women's lives through fitness, nutrition, mindset, and accountability with a micro gym business model of women only? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. We are LadyStrong Fitness.
It is Sunday afternoon, and it's like, what is this called, fall spring, because we have a fire going and it's freezing outside, and it was 70 degrees and tornadoes last week. So welcome to Illinois, but we're excited to be sitting here today, and we're gonna dive into our newest baby, aka Geneva. We're very excited for our second location, LadyStrong Fitness, and tell you what, the whole point of this is to bring you guys up to speed on where we're at with things over in Geneva, answer some questions that we are getting from our current membership base that we want to make sure that we address. And we also have a special guest, Ella. This is our dog, Ella. Ella does have a bark collar on. Do not worry. It does not shock her. It only beeps when she barks, but we did not want her barking during our episode. So with that being said, I'm going to hand the mic over to Marciea because, to be honest with you, Marciea is the creator, the visionary of LadyStrong Fitness. She is the one that brings a lot of the things that you guys see inside of the studio to life. And so right now she is in full on visionary mode over at Geneva. So I'm going to let her go through some things. We have some notes on our phone so we don't forget anything. But with that being said, let's dive in.
All right. I think it's important for us to kind of rewind a little bit and share our story from the beginning, because then it will allow them to understand where we are in today's phase of the business. So let's go to 2016 when we first started. Yeah. When we first opened up LadyStrong Fitness, we bootstrapped everything. And for those of you that do not know what that means, we didn't have any type of capital or funding to be able to get the equipment that we needed, to be able to get the payroll to pay our staff. It was just an extensive way of going about doing business. So we guerrilla marketed, we networked, we pretty much any money that we were able to get from the business, we put back into the business. So I'm very fortunate, and I think you are too, to say fast forwarding almost 10 years later, 8 years to be 8.5 to be exact, we've built a lot of banking relationships. We've paid our bills on time. That has allowed us to be able to now get the capital that we need in order to build out the Geneva location. So we've came a really long way, and I'm pretty proud of ourselves. So with that being said, I think the first thing I want to do is talk about how Geneva even came about. This is a 2-year process. So this didn't happen overnight. I was actually speaking to one of our members. It was Michelle Hobart, and she was like, I remember almost a year and a half, 2 years ago, you were talking about this. And it just goes to show how long this process takes, from finding the right location to being able to find the ideal space that we need for LadyStrong Fitness. There's so much that goes into it. And to know that it's finally here, it's crazy. It doesn't even feel like it's happening. So we officially broke ground with construction last Friday. So we are going on week number 2 of the construction phase. And just to kind of paint a picture for you guys what that looks like, a lot of it at this point in time, we had to get the village involved, making sure all of our permits we get for our exterior signage, for electrician, for plumbing. So a lot of that is pending on how long it would take before us to even be able to start the electrician, start the plumbing, start the exterior signage. So that is beyond our control. But what we can control at this point is putting up walls. That doesn't require permits. So the contractors have started the first phase, which is the front of the building, the lobby area. We actually have a consultation room that we can talk about as well, and the semi-private. That's the extent and where we're at right now, and that what we can do that doesn't require additional permits. So over the last week, they were able to, what's really cool, there wasn't that much tear down or demo. It was ripping up some carpets, and then from there, it was putting up walls for the lobby, separating the 3 rooms, lobby, consult, and semi-private. So Brittany's talking about the fun part. If you guys don't know, I love to just make things look nice and pretty. So hence, we are at home. If you guys can't tell, we're not in the studio. So right now I get to pick out the decor and whatnot. And I think this is important, and I want you guys to really understand this part right here, and Brittany can agree with me. I wish we did, when we had our first studio, have the budget that we do now. But it's one thing that I want you guys to understand is what you guys have when we built out the first studio was almost 10 years ago. And a lot of things have changed since then. Even if I wanted to replicate our existing space, everything's discontinued. It no longer exists. And you have to be able to almost keep up with the trends per se. So even though the aesthetics might look slightly different, the experience will still be the same. So I don't want you guys to feel as though that because you might see something at Geneva that it's not at Schaumburg. It's not because we didn't want to. It's just one of those things that we didn't have the ability to do so. But what's really cool, Brittany, is maybe you could touch bases on this as well, is that throughout the 8.5 years at LadyStrong, we were able to still reinvest back into the business. As you guys could tell, we build out the semi-private. We were able to update the recovery room alongside the group training. So if you want to go to the notes, we could talk about like the relationships that you're trying to build right now within the Geneva. If that's something you want to discuss, cool.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple things to what you just said is when we first started this, we didn't really have a lot of things when we started Schaumburg, to your point, and everything that we have reinvested in are because there were problems that we were solving, right? It wasn't a matter of like, oh, we need new flooring because it needs to be updated, or oh, we need to paint the walls because that would look nice. It was like, no, we need to have 4-on-1 training because there are people in our community who need that. No, we need more equipment because people need more equipment. We need more storage. So a lot of the updates that you guys have seen were problems that we were having to solve in the moment and not just things that would have been nice to do. So to your point, in Geneva, now we know it's like when if some of you guys own your own businesses, so you make mistakes, you learn along the way, and usually the second time around you do it, you already have worked out all the kinks, and now you know exactly what you need to do, and you have a little bit more leniency to be able to have more design freedom and things like that. So it is exciting, and I'm definitely excited for what's to come. So let's talk a little bit about some community outreach that I've been doing in the Geneva area. So some of you guys have probably been in the St. Charles, Geneva area. We live about 26 minutes away from this new studio, which is great for us. But I can honestly say I've never really frequented Geneva or St. Charles like that, been to their downtown or anything like that. So I've just been really connecting with local businesses in the area to create partnerships, to essentially just introduce myself, introduce us, introduce LadyStrong, let them know like, hey, we love working with small businesses. We love connecting with other small businesses. We love helping your clients. We love that you guys can help our clients. It's a win-win for everybody. And I think it's really important, especially as a small business, to connect with other small businesses because you are stronger in numbers when it comes to small businesses. We aren't Target or Walmart with $1 million marketing budgets and things like that. And so it's a lot easier when you can find those relationships and connections because it's easier to grow each other's businesses that way because you can lean on each other for support and ideas, but also their clientele is our clientele is their clientele. It just makes sense. So that's a lot of what I've been working on right now until we get to the pre-sale part of things, which is the exciting part. I'll pass back to you.
Yeah, so I think the next thing too I want to talk about, and this is in regards to the entire team, the Green Squad team, is being able to recruit new talent for the Geneva location. A couple things that myself, Brittany, and the entire team is doing is taking classes at different locations in Geneva. So last week, Brittany and I attended a studio. We'll keep names undisclosed, but it was less than a mile from our Geneva location, and The coach was great. The community was great. We were specking out different class times to see which class times for them are popular versus which ones are not. So I had a really great experience. I actually loved the coach that was there. And to be completely transparent with you, I actually have an interview with one of their coaches from there tomorrow. So I know that you and Caitlin also visited another studio the next day, I believe it was. And
Going back on Monday.
yep, and then Brittany is going back again with Jess on Monday. So Christian, Dawn, Christina, Allie, we're all involved. We're all taking classes. We want to see how they're doing things, how their class times are, which ones their popular class times, which ones aren't, just to kind of get a feel for things and making sure that when we do open up class times, we're opening up the right times alongside perhaps even recruiting the right types of people that we want for LadyStrong Fitness. And yeah, just 1 second. And then to also add is one thing, what's really cool when we first started, Brittany, at the pilot location in Schaumburg, we were working out of scarcity to hire people, meaning we just needed coaches. And now we're at a stage in our business is that we're being very methodical. We're taking more time and making sure we recruit the right person with the right experience, the right personality, and making sure we don't make those same mistakes as what we did when we first started. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to just reiterate one of the biggest reasons that, I mean, I think any smart business owner should do this is to, visit people in your area, competition, people who serve the same clientele that you serve, who house the same employees that you're looking for. Because at the end of the day, it's much easier to bring somebody in who has the experience, who has the knowledge in the industry, and whose kind of onboarding process can be a lot quicker, but also is somebody is going to be knowledgeable and give your clients a great experience. And I think that that's a huge piece of it too, is that we have to make sure that we're putting the right people in the right seats at the studio from a coaching perspective and a sales perspective and things like that. I think it's all important. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. I call it the Tour de Geneva, my tour of studios in Geneva. So, yep.
I think some challenges that we know we may be facing, knock on wood, that we want to make sure to update you guys. Our grand opening is going to be dependent upon our equipment. So the equipment that we purchase is overseas in China, and it typically takes up to 6 months to have it be delivered from there to the USA, and then it has to reach customs and get approved there before it gets to us. Well, I negotiated something to where we could cut that time in half to 3 months. However, it's still beyond our control. A lot of things do happen during customs. If it's, the time that it takes for everything to be checked, who knows? So a lot of it is pending on when we do get that equipment. So I'm hoping that we don't run across any challenges. But for the most part, everything will be done in that studio. And the last piece is like the icing on the cake is the equipment. So every bit of equipment, just to give you guys a picture, everything is custom. We'll have custom dumbbells, custom bumper plates, custom kettlebells. Everything will have our branding on it. And it's just a matter of when is that going to ship over. And I did find out, I didn't even tell you this today, is that the closest port to us is Chicago, not New York. Nice. Yes. So that might also help us out a lot. So super excited about that as well. And then, I don't know.
Why am I thinking how does it get there? But it goes to Lake Michigan? I don't know.
That's beyond my expertise. So
I think I will say one of the reasons that we did go overseas with our equipment is it's just a lot less expensive. That's just what it is. And when we have by half, and we didn't go out and search for funding for this. We had to go get a loan at a bank, and they only gave us so much money. And so we really had to be careful about what we were spending things on. And equipment in the US, unfortunately, is double or triple the price, not even branded to us. So, and the storage racks there are all custom made for that studio. So it was an easier decision for us. And they've been a great partner. I mean, the guy that you're working with has been absolutely phenomenal.
Shout out, his name is Will. Shout out to Will. Yeah, so I want to kind of elaborate a little bit more on the equipment so that way they can have a little vision when Brittany say storage rack. So right now at the existing studio, we recently redesigned the group training where you have shelving units to house all of our kettlebells, all of our med balls, and dumbbells still remain the same. But what's really nice about the new custom racks is that it has a built-on pull-up bar attached to it as well. So which also cut expenses down so you don't have additional equipment suspended from the ceiling. Everything is all in one. It was really nice. It's like an a la carte. It's like, I want to add this, I want to add this, I want to add that. I pretty much told him everything I wanted and he's building it into one. So it keeps expenses low and not having to order any additional equipment. So
it's kind of like the storage racks in Schaumburg were like the prototype. It was like, that was like the prototype. And this is the actual like fabricated version of the prototype, which is kind of crazy.
So the next topic, Brittany, I think it's important to discuss is how we came about Geneva. Again, this is a 2-year process. We looked into going into, what was the first one over by, we looked at Killdeer. And I think it's important to be transparent. As a small business owner, we found a location that we really loved. And what's really cool is that, I thought was cool is that the location and the plaza had all corporations. It wasn't not one small mom and pop. So which I think maybe would be considered a good P&L, but it wasn't nothing to the standards that the landlord was looking for. So one door closed and perhaps maybe another one open. So then we're like, okay, well, Killdeer's not it. And then we also looked into, remember the one on the busy highway
that was
in 350?
Lombard?
Yes.
No. Yes.
It was Lombard, and then there was another one that we liked. So there was like 2 other locations that we looked at. One involved the reconstruction of redoing the entire plaza.
That was in Glen Ellen.
Yes, Glen Ellen didn't work out because I don't even think they rebuilt the plaza. So their timeline was very slow, and we were working more so of urgency. So then we came across the Lombard. We actually loved the Lombard location, and with the Lombard, they were looking to have, it was
They wanted a restaurant.
yes, they wanted a restaurant. So it was like, okay, there's like 3 doors. 3 doors closed. So it was like, all right, let's move on to the next. So to make a long story short, we did come across, it was the Geneva, and then we had a Naperville location. And how we came about Geneva, it was the location was like, you can't miss it, right off of the road, a lot of like traffic. So it was just one of those things. We only share this with you because it was like, again, when someone says no, we never stop. We just kept going. It was just
from the other studio too. We had to kind
very much so. Yeah. We wanted to make sure that we tied the 2 studios together, meaning if one coach or one front desk is maybe sick, they could fill in at the other. And we wanted to make it convenient for members to be able to travel back and forth, and it needed to be within no less than 20-30 minute mile radius from each other. And the Geneva's like ideal without traffic. It's like 30. It's like perfect. So location was perfect. It just made sense. And so there was a lot of good factors there. So that's how we came about the Geneva location. Moving on, we have innovation and I think it was integration. So excited about this. So the first one is you need to make sure that you're at least keeping up with the trends or ahead of the trends. So when it comes to integrating specific technologies within LadyStrong Fitness, I don't want to give away too much information, but I am working with our heart rate monitor company shout out to Accuro Fit, the heart rate monitor system that we have in house. They are working on something that doesn't necessarily just focus on calorie burn, but it will also help with strength training. So again, him and I have been going back and forth. We're hoping this new feature may launch within the next 6-12 months, being very conservative, but this will enhance your experience hands down. So again, whatever we speak about, it isn't just for the Schaumburg location, it's also for the Geneva location. So it's for both locations. So we're not just trying to keep up with the trends, we're trying to get ahead of the trends. So stay tuned for more information there. So that is for the integration and technology.
So there are going to be some enhanced features that are going to be happening at Geneva because there are certain limitations that we're facing right now from a workout perspective that we're excited to take on and see if we can solve that problem. And obviously it's one of those things that if we solve the problem and we figure out it's a good solution in Geneva, there's always the opportunity for us to bring that back to Schaumburg, whatever that timeline looks like. But again, don't want to give away too much on that, but it is going to be an exciting feature. And just know that we will never do something in one studio that we would not do in another because we want them to be as identically close as they possibly can be from a programming, nutrition, accountability perspective. I think that that's really important to keep the integrity of the brand and the experience the same across all locations. Yeah.
The last thing that it's important to talk about, there's been a lot of buzz inside the studio, questions that people may have. This is actually going to be a part 2 series. So we'll somewhat address the questions that we've been getting. And then I'm sure there's going to be more questions that come about after this podcast airs. So some of the questions I've been getting, and then you can also elaborate on some of the questions you've been getting as well, is the first one is, well, am I able to use my membership at both locations? 100%. Yes, you will utilize your app just like you would normally just selecting a different location. You'll be able to see the times, who the coach is, everything remains the same. The only thing that changes is where you work out. So it won't cost you any additional expense to be able to go from one location to next. Just treat it just like you would normally. So really excited about that. So if you guys are in the area or just want to come check it out, feel free to do so. I do know, and I might be getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to say it anyhow, is that we will, when we have the soft opening, 100% we want to test it out with you guys first. It only makes sense. So that's something that I know that will happen. And I know, Brittany, you've also had several questions as well. Maybe you want to elaborate on that. A couple other ones too is that what I'm really excited about that is going to be enhancing the experience at the Geneva location is the layout of the group training facility. The semi-private is identical. The issue that we're running into right now in Schaumburg is that we don't have the space to be able to have people on the outsides of the room. The Geneva, it's about 500 square feet bigger than the Schaumburg location, which means that there will be still 22 spots, but there won't be any spots in the middle. They're all will be on the outside, which is easier for the coach to be able to walk the room, correct form, don't have to trip over and hop over equipment. They can go up and down, side to side. So I'm really, really excited about that. And I think from a member perspective as well, not being able to have someone next to you, behind you, in front of you, that also helps as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we did an incredible job. You did an incredible job solving that problem in Schaumburg. I feel like that how that is set up now is very, very ideal and conducive and makes working out a lot easier. It's just going to be different in Geneva, not necessarily better, just different. So the other question I got the other day was, well, what if I want to like transfer my membership to Geneva and go there? We're not going to be moving anybody's memberships from Schaumburg to Geneva for several reasons. But like Marciea said, you guys are able to use both studios. But the founding member rates that are happening at Geneva are for brand new LSF members. They are not going to be available for current members. They are going to be literally for brand new people who have never stepped foot in a LadyStrong Fitness before. So yeah, that was a question I got the other day. I was like, can I no, we will not be transferring memberships from one location to the other, because you will be able to use them at both places interchangeably. So you don't need to have your membership at a different studio. It can stay at your home studio, which is how it will work, from that perspective too. So yeah.
One other question I've got is, are you guys going to throw a party? Duh. Hello. Of course we are. So, I think that this is going to be by far the best time out of all the parties we have ever thrown. And not because it's something new or something different. It's just every single time we have a party, we always revive it to the next level, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's one of those things that, yes, you will get an invite. Yes, you are, going to, let me back up for a second. The only thing I'm going to tell you is that Normally when people have like parties like this, it's during the daytime, maybe mid-afternoon. Yes, we're having a nighttime party. Not like no, we are not, but it's not like nightclub-ish, but it's just a different vibe. That's all I'm going to say. Stay tuned for more details.
Okay, with that being said, I think that I can't go on this podcast without first and foremost thanking God for this blessing. This has honestly been something that Marciea and I have prayed for years and years and years and years. And if you know anything about us, you know that God is always first in our life and our relationship and our business, and he always will be. And so I first and foremost want to thank God for this opportunity, because we would not be here without him, and we would not be impacting the lives that we would be if we didn't. Secondly, I want to thank our families. I feel like our families have been integral in supporting us in this journey and in this process, and being our biggest champions. Whether they're here and we talk often or not, they're always rooting us on from a distance. I also want to thank the team. That was my next one. Our Green Squad, if you know anything about them, they are the most tenacious, driven, motivated, hungry people that I think that we have worked with in a long time. And we have our challenges, we have our ups and downs and our highs and lows, but those guys are our rock. They are the rock of LadyStrong Fitness. Yeah. And we're excited to be able to bring them up in promotions and things like that, and leadership as we grow the studios together. And I think my next one is our members. I feel like some of you guys have literally been here since the very beginning, and you've seen us at our first Orenda when we had that map of all the dots that we wanted to be at and all the locations we wanted to have.
I think only one person maybe have seen that, and that was Carrie Vetter.
No, Monica Escoval.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Monica was here too for that. And I feel like we have come a long ways since then, and we're very blessed to have the membership base that we have and the people that support us that we have. And lastly, I want to thank Marciea. I feel like having like a partner that is so driven and motivated and hungry and passionate about just impacting lives, growing a business, working together. If anybody out there owns a business and you work with your significant other, you know that's not easy. But I feel like we share the same vision, we share the same goals. And I'm very excited for the future. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah. I was not expecting that. So thank you, Brittany. I do hands down agree with everything that you said. From a Christian perspective, and I'm not trying to get religious here by any means, but it's one of those things that I always, and I think you did too, continue to lead by faith and not by sight. I don't always ask. I just continue to just trust the process. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm very impatient, but just to see the progress that's being made when you look back lets you know how far you came. So I'm very thankful for that. And then for the future, speaking on behalf of the future and everyone that's there, like you said at Orenda, I think people almost didn't believe when we showed a map of the different places. But yes, our goal was to have more than one location. This vision is much bigger than us. And I do know that now that we're starting the second, obviously we want to have several others. And just to share with you, you've seen how long it took for the second. We're hoping the third is
a little quicker.
Around the corner. Yeah. And it's only because now this will be our second time. It's like when you have your first child, right? Mm-hmm. It's stuff's really hard, and
you don't want nobody touching your baby.
Yeah.
Baby and nothing, and everything's crazy, and you're up all night long.
Yeah. And it's not, and then the second one, it's like, okay, this isn't that bad. And the third is like, all right, we got this. So that's kind of where we're at. And just to give you guys a tidbit, nothing else, but because it took 2 years just to get to this process, we told our broker, like, hey, you need to start looking for third locations now. So that's kind of where we're at with it, but nothing's really set in stone. Obviously, we don't want to take away from our first two, and we want to make sure those are just right where they need to be, but there's definitely more to come. So I think that's all I have, Brittany. I don't know if you have anything else. Ella, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay, so with that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in of this episode of LadyStrong Fitcast. There will be a part 2. I'm sure we'll have a Q&A. Address those questions in the comments, and we'll make sure part 2 we'll have in a couple of weeks. So have a blessed day, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, guys.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or whatever your favorite place is to listen to podcasts. And if you really liked this episode, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.